Congressman Graves, thank you for joining us today. The House is working on a tax plan that President Trump says he wants to sign by December. Tax reform has evaded lawmakers since the 80s. Is it likely that something could be done by Christmas for tax reform?
Yes. In fact, in the House, I think we'll probably have it done before Thanksgiving break, which is coming up here in a couple of weeks. But we're getting ready to move it forward. I think they're doing markup this week, and we should be on the floor very, very soon.
Now, what's going to be in this bill? Is it a comprehensive tax reform, or is it simply a tax cut? Which is a more likely outcome?
Well, it's both, actually. Comprehensive tax reform and simplifying our tax code, and basically being able to do it on a one page or a one card system where you would file. There's also tax cuts in there. We're lowering the marginal, or the rates for everybody. We're lowering corporate tax rates, which we have the highest corporate rate in the world, and we want to make the United States a much more business-friendly atmosphere, and part of that is obviously the corporate rates. So it's going to be, there's going to be tax cuts for everybody.
A major criticism with the bill has been that it's kind of a billionaires tax cut. There's not much there for the middle class. Do you agree with that, or do you think that that's unfair? And if so, what is there for the middle class?
Well, it's absolutely wrong. It's not unfair. It's just flat out wrong. This is a tax cut for everybody, and the middle class is where it's being targeted the most. The middle class is going to get the largest amount of the tax cuts themselves. So it's going to be good for everybody. That's the bottom line. And the middle class is certainly where the focus is going to be with this. It's got a long ways to go. It'll continue to get better as we move forward, but it's a real good bill for the middle class now.
Well, an analysis by the Tax Policy Center found that taxes would increase on average for people making less than $55,000 a year, while households with an annual income of $5 million plus get an average tax cut of $300,000. Does this square with what the leadership is suggesting?
Yeah, absolutely not. And in fact, I think what you're going to find is they're revising their report. They're coming back out with a new report. It was based on some wrong information. But the truth of the matter is, it's the lower tax rates that are going to get, the most focus, and are going to get the most tax cuts. So it's, that's just completely wrong. And what you have is a situation too where you got a lot of folks that simply don't want to cut taxes. They want to continue to provide the government with more and more and more money. And the fact of the matter is, it's not the government's money. It's the public's money. And you get to hear that too. One of the biggest parts for the tax code that's going to help us out in the Midwest in a big way is eliminating the inheritance tax. Death should not be a taxable event. Farmers, throughout this district, our district, they save and they pay taxes on that property their entire life, and then for the government to come around and say, well, you owe us, or your family owes us as a result of death, is just ridiculous. So there's huge tax cuts in there for the middle class, the working class, and that's where the focus is going to be.
And is there anything else in there for the agriculture sector, for farmers, that would directly have an impact on rural Missouri?
Well, obviously, the marginal rate structure is going to have an impact on everybody in rural Missouri, not just farmers, but everyone. But the biggest impact by far for farming families and small business owners is going to be that elimination of the inheritance tax. And it's time it went away. Again, death should not be a taxable event.
And what, if you have any numbers, what is that corporate rate? Do you know what that's going to come down to?
I don't know offhand. The corporate rate comes down to 20%, I'm pretty sure. But it's obviously coming down considerably. So many of those corporate rates just get passed on to the consumers, so consumers are going to benefit from this in a big way. And the fact of the matter is, we lose a lot of businesses to other countries because of our extraordinarily high corporate rates, and that's the biggest reason for lowering corporate rates, is to retain those businesses, keep them right here in the United States, and attract more businesses back.
And shifting gears just a little bit, a farm bill is certain to be an important measure next year, especially for the fairly rural district, such as the Missouri 6th District. Can you give us an idea of what you would like to see in the 2018 Farm Bill?
Well, the biggest thing with the Farm Bill is continuing to have a focus, as we have had recently with with crop insurance. We have to make sure crop insurance stays viable. It's the opportunity for farmers to be able to have an impact on their own lives, have a stake in the game, rather than having direct subsidies or direct payments. We would rather do it through crop insurance and be able to insure that crop. So we want to make sure that's viable, and that's going to be the main focus on the next farm bill. We're looking like, and at least they're talking about it right now, it could possibly come up as early as next year, which is a good thing. It's getting close to being due. We want to make sure we keep in mind, what the main focus of the farm bill is, and that is maintaining a very affordable and a very safe and a very abundant food supply. It's one of the things we take for granted here in the United States is the fact that we have one of the best food supplies in the world, and it's affordable. You spend less than 10% of your disposable income on food, and we want to make sure it stays that way, and we do that through farm policy. So it's really consumer policy rather than just farm policy.
Congressman Sam Graves, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Brian.
I appreciate